Hello and welcome back to the 12 Myths About Photography series, or why not everything you hear about photographers is true. Welcome to episode 8. If this is the first video of the series you encounter, go back to my channel and check out the previous episodes. Take a moment to hit the subscribe button in order to be notified in advance when the next video is out. Trust me, you won't regret it. So, off we go. Myth number 8. This one is quite common, unfortunately, not only among non-photographers, but among some photographer colleagues as well. So basically, professional photographic cameras can use two formats. One is JPEG, the other is RAW. JPEG is the easier one. That's the format we are familiar with, which means that you take out the memory card and you can use the image immediately. It's small. It's useful, but it's a nightmare when you have to edit it. RAW is the editing format, but it's like 5 or 6 times bigger than the JPEG file. It contains much more information, it is much better for editing, and you can do a lot of things with it. But unfortunately, you cannot use it directly. So you have to take out the memory card, download the images to a computer, and then convert them to JPEG. So basically what some colleagues say is that I shoot in JPEG and I need nothing else. Why bother filling up my memory card with useless huge files I cannot make use of instantly? Well, this is in parts true if you are shooting documentary photography or photojournalism, because there you take a picture of whatever you've seen. Things develop really rapidly, you don't have much time to react, and you need to use the images on the spot. Then JPEG, maybe it is probably a good idea since you need to hand in images immediately. But if you're shooting landscapes or something you want to be sure that you wouldn't be screwing up, you need to shoot in RAW. Why? Because RAW can cover up for your failures. I mean, this type of file has a lot more information, so whatever you didn't get right, RAW would cover for you. So, probably you remember that image from the previous video. In case you don't, long story short is that the original is far less impressive. So this one is the final version. It's really a lot of Photoshop in it. I mean, really a lot of Photoshop. Basically, the sky used to be really light. Those rocks were really dark. And here it is how it looked like when I took it. So the one you see on the left is the absolute original as shot, downloaded directly from camera. The one you see on the right is the slightly edited version. I mean slightly edited because I had to edit it again. So basically if that image had been shot in JPEG, I would have deleted it, because it's almost impossible to tweak an image this much if it's shot in JPEG, simply because that sky would have been burned out, which means there will be no information up there, nothing seen by the sensor. Those rocks would be really dark and you wouldn't be able to restore details in them. But since it was shot in RAW, we can do that, and it's easy because it's RAW. It gives you the opportunity to work with. Well, the downside is that files are really big and you need to process them, but still you have lots of opportunities to cover up for your failures. And as you know, when you take pictures of a lot of things, you cannot always adjust your perfect settings, especially if you're shooting manual. I usually do so. From time to time, I face such things. Here is another example. This one was taken at the Sofia Medieval Festival. Long story short, it's a wonderful event in September where people from Bulgaria and other countries around gathered to show off some historical costumes. There are fights. You can see ancient, well, not ancient, but medieval food. You see some pipers. There is music. It's an amazing thing. Well, problem was that the place where the people had to fight was in broad daylight they had to fight at midday, which means really harsh light. And to top it all, there was some shade, really harsh shade from the trees hanging above, and you basically had to take pictures of whatever you saw, hoping that you got something right. So at that point, you just adjust your settings at one thing, you fix them, and you start shooting. Because you have no choice. I mean, things are happening so quickly that you just have to capture the moment, hoping that you will. So here is one of the images. As you can see on the left, this is the original as taken from the memory card. Basically, 2/3 of the image are burned out, as we say in photographic language, which means that if this had been taken in JPEG, I would have been deleting it. For the sole reason that if it was in JPEG, in all those burned out areas, you'll have no information. And that means that this image will be useless. It's a failure. The only way to fix burned out areas is to turn them in black and white and see if you can actually restore some of the detail, but it's a tricky thing and it doesn't usually work. But since this image was actually taken in RAW, not in JPEG, I had much more information stored in the file, and I managed to restore each and every detail of the image, as you can see on the right. So it seems that nothing in the image actually burned out, since the bigger file gave me the advantage of covering up that I screwed up during image taking. So as you can see, RAW files give you a lot more opportunities, and in my opinion, if you want to create decent images, you should use RAW files, not JPEG, even though they're smaller. RAW files. That's it. So, having said all that, I want to wish you once again good luck and stay focused. Thank you for watching, and go check the other videos on my channel. I'm sure you'll find something interesting for yourself. See you next week.